Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be refinishing this dresser nightstand. I bought this at Goodwill probably about a year ago and I started it, but I decided that I'm going to be putting it in the nursery. I am 7.5 months pregnant, as you can see right now. However, my nursery colors are like gray, white, and a minty green. So I wanted to take this, refinish it, and paint the top in what is still brown white now. It's also been sitting the entire winter in my garage, and my husband, set gasoline on the top, so the finish is no longer pretty anymore. Anyways, what I've already done is I have sanded it all down. I painted the sides the minty greenish color that I liked, and I have roughed it up a little bit in order to get an antique type finish once I apply the wax. So what I need to do now is I need to resand the top, give it a clean down, and then we will go from there with the painting. So I have my rotary sander ready, and it's equipped with a 120 grit, and then I also have just a regular manual like palm sander that I'm going to be using on the smaller spaces. It's got a 220 grit on it. I've also got my bandana so I don't inhale sawdust. I don't have a carpenter's mask, but this will work just fine for me, so let's do it. So as you can see that I've got basically the whole top sanded down. There is still a couple dark spots, but that really doesn't bother me. Like I said, I like the antique look anyway, so the paint I'm going to use has a primer in it. It should cover up all this anyways, but we got most of the stain off the top, and now what I'm just going to do is I'm going to go around the sides and the bottom layer here, and I'm going to sand that down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just wipe it down with a little bit of dish soap and water, and while it dries I'm going to be doing mixing my own chalk paint. It's a lot cheaper than buying anything you can find at the store, and it's super easy to do. So I'll be right back. We're gonna do that. So I really love the look of chalk paint, but I don't love the price of it. So this is how you can make your own at home, and I suggest for the best results using calcium carbonate. You can get this on Amazon. You might even be able to buy it at your local grocery store, or even like your local home improvement store. I had to get mine on Amazon. So basically what you do is you mix any paint. I have just some leftover white paint. It's in the finish eggshell, but if you're specifically buying paint to use as chalk paint, I would go with a flat finish, but eggshell works as well. Sometimes you may just have to add a little bit more calcium carbonate. So for every cup of paint, you are going to use 2 tablespoons of calcium carbonate mixed with about 1 tablespoon of water, and you mix it together till it kind of forms this consistency. And then you mix it with your paint. Just make sure it's mixed up really well. Because I'm using white, you can't tell, but I've used it with other colors, and it's easier to see with other colors whether it's totally mixed or not, because you will be able to see it at the bottom. And that's how you make homemade chalk paint. We got our paint mixed and it's dry to the touch now. What we're going to do is we're going to tape off all the sides where we're going to be painting it white. Alright, time for the fun part. Now we're going to start painting. As you can see, I've put my hair up. It is starting to get hot. It's pretty humid up here in New York right now. And, you know, I don't know if I do anything, I do it hard. So I'm already covered in paint. This is just from mixing the paint. So let's see how much more covered I get while painting this thing. I have it all taped up, including my drawers. I'm going to paint the bottoms here. And let's get this done. so we're done with our first coat now. I am only a little bit more covered in paint. Unfortunately, I have paint on like the only pair of pants that fit me right now, so that kind of is a bummer. If you're pregnant, you know what I'm talking about. So this is how it looks right now. As you can see, that there is still, like, you can see some of the grain and stuff through it, which is nice, don't get me wrong, I like that, but I'm going to go ahead and put a second coat on when this dries just a little bit. There's also certain areas that I didn't paint that you could probably see as I was doing it. That's where the drawers are going to go. I really don't care if that gets painted or not. Nobody's going to see it. No one's even going to know it's there. Okay, so we'll be back to do the second coat, and then I'll show you what it looks like when... Alright, so here's our finished product for day 1. Now what we have to do is just let it dry, and then what we're going to do tomorrow is I'm going to put a coat of polyurethane over the white, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the green part, and then we're going to, after that dries, put over some antiquing wax on the green part only. Okay, and I love how it's turning out already. Okay, so I let the paint dry overnight. All you gotta do is wait till it's completely dry. You don't have to wait overnight, but I did. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a coat of polyurethane over the whole thing. This is just so it is resistant to scratching and marks and stuff, you know, from usage. What I use is the polyacrylic in the clear matte, because I don't know if it comes across very well on the camera, but there is a very flat finish. So there's no shine to it, and I want to keep it that way as much as possible. It's really difficult when using polyurethane to get a totally matte finish, but I've used this one in previous projects and it works pretty well, and it serves the purpose of protection. You want to do the polyurethane before you use any kind of antiquing wax as well, just because you can't properly adhere the polyurethane to it if there's a wax coating, because it's a water soluble material. So we're going to coat the polyurethane. We're going to let it dry for a few hours. If you wanted to do a second coat, wait about 2 hours and then, you know, apply your second coat and then just wait till that dries. I'm only going to go ahead and do one. I might do a second coat on the white because I'm not using the wax, which is also a protectant. So let's get started.
One thing to keep in mind when using polyurethane is that it has a very strong odor, so you want to always make sure you have any necessary protective gear, and make sure you're also in a well ventilated area. I am doing this whole thing in my garage, so I have my garage door open. What you also might want to keep in mind is that if you're going with a stain instead of a paint that covers up your wood grain, you really want to try to just brush along with the grain of the wood. That's what I did alongside the top, and the sides it didn't really matter because they're kind of all roughed up anyways.
One thing to note, that when you're doing the polyurethane, if you get like buildup that looks like this, it's like milky white looking, make sure you just brush it out. Now as you can see, I do have like the rub marks already in here. So that's what you want to do if you are going for the antique look. You paint it first, and then you go through with a light sandpaper and rub out your spots. This is a project I had started working on last year, and that's why it's already kind of half done. Here we are in the home stretch of our project. I already did a second coat on the white with the polyurethane, so all that's left for us to do is to apply the antiquing wax and then reinstall the hardware, and we should be finished. For the antiquing wax, you can buy something like the Annie Sloan wax, which I've used in the past. That's good stuff. I also have this here, which was highly recommended. I got it at a local co-op store. So I've tried it out on like a spare piece of wood, and I really liked how it turned out. So we're going to see how it looks on here. It is a dark brown wax instead of your traditional like black or clear wax. And what I'm going to do is then I'm going to apply it all over the green areas, and the only part I'm not going to apply it to is going to be the insides of my drawers, just because over time with rub and use, I just don't want to risk it rubbing off on clothing or anything else that gets stored in the drawers. Alright, so we will get started. How you apply it is with a clean, dry cloth. You are going to rub in small circular motions in small sections throughout the entire area. Wait about 3 to 5 minutes or so, and then go back over your areas and then buff it out with a clean cloth. Let's get started.
If you're doing a project like I am, where you're leaving the white untouched with the wax, I would suggest taping off the area. I didn't, and it turned out okay because you just wipe off the wax as soon as it may get on there. You should be just fine. But if you're more of a perfectionist than I am, I would suggest taping off the area you don't want the wax to touch. It doesn't come across very well in the video, but when you buff out the wax, what it really does is it just gets into like the grooves and the cracks and any blemishes that you have in the wood itself. You should be able to see later on in the video what I'm talking about if you've never done this before yourself. Also, what you can do if you're looking for a darker finish is repeat the process. The longer that you leave the wax on to soak into the wood, the darker the result is going to be. I only wanted a more subtle result, so that's why I didn't leave it on for much more than 5 minutes or so. Alright, so that's it for the waxing. If you would like to, you could do it twice if you're looking for a darker, more defined finish. I liked it very subtly. You can kind of see that it just kind of fills in the cracks in the wood, just to give it that antique look. And that's really all I'm going for. I don't want anything dramatic or crazy. So what you really want to do now at this point is give it time to cure the wax and the polyurethane. I probably am going to put the hardware in sooner than what you probably should. Just be careful if you're going to do that. Otherwise, give it about 24 hours so it cures entirely, or before you actually go to use it for anything more than just maybe setting it in a corner. One thing I'm going to add too is that after using this, I really liked how it turned out and how it smelled. It was really easy to manipulate. This one specifically is the Howard Premium Paste Wax in dark oak. So now I'm going to install the hardware. I bought these ones when I originally planned on redoing this dresser, so they're kind of in a like brushed bronze color. I am contemplating painting them either gold or white. I'm going to install them, but I want you to let me know what you think in the comments, and maybe I will take them off and I will paint them. So let's get them installed. Okay guys, so I've let it dry overnight and I had my husband move it into the nursery, and this is how our final product looks.
really like how it turned out. I'm in the nursery right now, and I mean, I know you can't really see it because it's just a chair and the wall, but there's a lot of gray going on in this room, so I think it adds a nice pop of color. I do have this yucca tree, which I really love. So just a little bit of green with a lot of white and gray going on in here. I think it's great. It's a great addition. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and maybe it was even helpful for some of you if you're working on a similar project. Let me know in the comments what you think about the color of the hardware, if you would paint it white or gold, or whatever other thoughts you might have on that is. And I will see you guys next time.